Hi guys, so in this week's video I made a Warhammer 40k warp gate for my Ork. So I've been having a lot of fun recently on my Anycubic Vyper 3D printer, which I've been using pretty much every day. So yeah, having lots of fun building things or making things with that, and yeah, this is one of those. So as you can see, this also includes some LEDs and some epoxy resin that I've coloured. It's been a while since I've done anything with Orks, and I kind of forgot just how much I love these little guys. So let's get straight into it and show how I made this. So the first thing I do is turn on my 3D printer. That's such a lovely sound which I've been hearing pretty much every day. So then I can preheat both the nozzle and the bed temperature, and then while that's heating up I can then crack on and get the image or file that I want to print basically. So you just go on Thingiverse, type in what you're after, and then, well, basically scroll through loads and loads of pages. Sometimes they have some weird random things on there, but eventually you will find what it is you're kind of looking for. And in this case I'm going for almost like a Stargate kind of portal is what I was kind of after. So yeah, definitely a bit of scrolling there, but there's the one I'm using. I will leave a link in the description so you guys can go and check it out if you want to use the same one that I've used. And then it's just a case of downloading the file and then obviously extracting it because it's kind of like in a zip file of some sort. But yeah, nice and simple. So if I can do this kind of thing, then pretty much anyone can do this. So once I have got the file, I can then take it into a package called Cura. Obviously you've got to try and find where I put the file. Yeah, open it up, and obviously the great thing with this sort of stuff is you can basically print things out, well, whatever size you need. So I believe I made this about 150. Just to accommodate obviously the vehicle coming out of it, and yeah, just a case of saving the file and then printing it off. So I've only had the Anycubic Vyper 3D printer for about the last sort of 3-4 weeks, but I'll have to admit I'm using it a lot more than the Elegoo Mars printer that I've had for, well, about 9 months. So yeah, so this printer is being used pretty constantly basically, and I think the main reason for that is it's so simple to use. There's no messing about cleaning afterwards or messing about with the liquids and wearing gloves. Yeah, you just basically get the file, stick it in and press the print button and then, well, watch it print. Obviously this is speeded up by quite a lot, but it is quite fun to watch as obviously it's the plate that sort of moves backwards and forwards, and then obviously the print head goes side to side. So while this is doing this, guys, I just want to say a big thank you to all my patrons for helping support the channel. It really does mean so much. It means I can continue to buy bits and pieces to obviously keep producing videos. So thanks a lot for that, guys. And obviously anyone who is a patron does get access to behind the scenes stuff and can basically see what I'm working on, well, when I'm working on it, as I post sort of almost daily pictures of what I'm doing. There is a link in the description as well as one at the end of the video, basically sort of showing where and how you can become a patron. So cheers again, guys. So back to this, obviously the other great thing with this is once the thing has printed, it's easy just to sort of put it off the base. There's no real prizing or, well, I must admit in the Elegoo Mars I did actually break a few items that I'd printed just because I couldn't get them off and I had to scrape them off. So here's the vehicle I'm going to use. I've had this sitting around on my desk for, oh, I don't know, a good half year or more. So it's nice to finally sort of have something to use it in. Albeit I am obviously now going to chop it in half. Well, not quite in half, but certainly going to chop the back end off. As obviously the idea here is to have this coming through the portal, so obviously it's only going to be sort of part of it coming through. The back half I'm going to keep though, because I'll be able to use that for, well, something else I'm sure. And yeah, I like to get the old LED lights involved in this, just because I think they add something extra to it. So I'm actually printed off 2 of these sort of plates, and I'm going to have the wires kind of in between. So just a case of digging out a little channel just to accommodate the wires basically. So my little Dremel tool is certainly getting plenty of action here as well. But obviously the good thing is it's nice and easy to sort of just cut into this 3D printed part. And I'm going to kind of do the same for the base, just because I want to accommodate the light switch obviously inside that. So again, just marking it out and then using the Dremel tool, I can just simply cut out the, well, the required sort of slot. So now it's onto the painting. I've painted the warp gate in a copper colour, and I've primed my little Ork fella and the vehicle, so they're ready for painting as well. and I'm going to stick with my usual sort of thing with the paint of the Ork, and that's using the contrast colours, just because obviously my sort of painting skills, these sort of help me out immensely, as obviously it gives it sort of some nice contrast. Obviously it's in the name, and yeah, I'm going to be getting a new green soon though, because I'm kind of getting bored of this green, so I have ordered some more contrast paints, just sort of vary the colour that I'm using for the Orks. But yeah, so basically I'm going to use the sort of the contrast paints for basically all the painting of this little guy. I haven't got many contrast paints, but say I will be getting more as I go along, just because I want to paint more and more sort of little figures. So, but yeah, no, I'm pleased with how he's come out, and I say for somebody who doesn't really do a lot of painting and the painting skills are sort of lacking, the contrast paints really do help out immensely. And yeah, with the gun, again, I'm just adding some a strong tone wash to that, just again to sort of dirty it up and give it some sort of like some shadowing basically. So yeah, again, nice and simple but effective, and well, I'm pleased with it. So for the vehicle, obviously it was black. I went over with dry brushing with some silver, and obviously as I want this to be a fast vehicle, as everyone knows, it needs to be red. So that's exactly what I'm doing. But obviously because I'm using the contrast paint over the silvery black, it is going to look more like a metallic red. But yeah, again, I'm pleased with how it sort of came out. And one of the main things obviously here is I was actually enjoying the painting. So not trying too hard, not trying to make it perfect, but just having fun with it. And yeah, kind of getting the job done really. So to finish off the warp gate, I basically just went over it with a black wash, just to kind of like dirty it up a little bit. Yeah, so it's not too sort of clean looking. But obviously these little glyphs or whatever you want to call them on there, obviously want to highlight them a little bit more, so I'm going to go over and just paint them in a red. Yeah, no real reason for the red, just because I think it'll stand out well against the sort of the copper look, and because obviously the vehicle is going to be red, so yeah, red seems a good enough colour. So yeah, just going over that, all the raised areas, just to make it look a bit more prominent. And yeah, I'm really liking how this is looking. I say these 3D printed models, or 3D printed parts even, yeah, they're really good, because obviously you can adapt them and change them in the programs, and obviously when you do print them out, you can still then cut them up and modify them if you need to. So it's pretty much all done. It's just a case of assembling it now. And I say I want to try and get the LEDs to obviously go up through the base, and then I'm going to kind of glue them in position before obviously then I go round and pour in the epoxy resin, which should be fun. So yeah, there's obviously a lot of little tangled bits here. But yes, I like using these LEDs because they're nice and cheap. I think I buy a pack of about 15 of them for about £9, which is pretty cool, because I say they do sort of add a good bit of interest to anything that you can sort of make. As I am going to be pouring in obviously epoxy resin, I need to make sure that there are no gaps for it to obviously leak out, which is why I'm filling this in with a bit of good old bit of grout, a bit of filler. And then yeah, it's just basically a case of going around the inside and just obviously gluing it in place just so it wouldn't move when I did pour in the resin. Now for the first time ever, I'm using a bit of the old baking soda, just because I've seen a lot of people use this on the super glue, just because obviously it acts as a well, kind of like a quick hardener basically, to make it dry quicker and obviously harder. So yeah, just going around doing that on the inside. Obviously this took quite a while, which is why I've kind of like skipped loads of it and obviously just shown you the last little bit of it. But again, worth doing, because obviously the end result I think looks pretty good. So obviously just to make sure it is all still working, yeah, try it on and off. Yeah, I'm kind of pleased how it came out. Would have been nice if I could have tried to space out the lights a bit more evenly. But yeah, so next time I might sort of obviously take more care and have it lit up so I can see where the lights are. So because I am going to use the epoxy resin, again, I don't want there to be any gaps underneath this, which is why I'm going to use a hot glue gun, and I'm just gluing it to a bit of Perspex. And obviously the reason for this as well is because the Perspex will flex and obviously bend afterwards. I'm hoping that's going to make it a lot easier to pull this apart once the resin has all cured. So I've still got a little bit of resin left over from the last thing I made, or I have now just recently brought a whole load more, just because I enjoy doing these sort of resin builds, just because they're a bit different, and yeah, they're fun. So I've got a fun one lined up for next week, so keep an eye out for that. That will involve more Orks, or well, one Ork anyway, just because I kind of really say I forgot how much I love messing about with Orks, and they're pretty cool. So fingers crossed I'm going to have the new paint next week as well. So yeah, in regards to mixing up, usual sort of thing, the one I've got is a 1-to-1 basis, which is pretty cool. And then again, just putting a little bit of colouring in, mixing it up, seeing how that looks, and if I need to add more, I can add more. But yeah, I'm pleased with the colour. I've gone for obviously a green, just because, well, Orks and green. And yeah, pouring that in. But just to add a little bit of difference to this, I've just got a bit of yellow on my my stick, and I'm just sort of trying to get some swirl patterns in there. So as well as having the lights obviously lightening it all up, it's going to have this little bit of a swirl mixed in with the well, the green resin, which again is something I've not done before, and basically I'm just having a bit of fun trying out new things. So there are quite a lot of little air bubbles sort of on this, but obviously you can get rid of that nice and easy with a bit of a flame over the top. Obviously making sure you don't set fire to anything, but yeah, hey presto, that's done. So leave that to cure. I think it's about 12 hours this one I've got. And then once that's done, obviously it's nice and firm, hard. I did have to put a little bit of plastic around one edge because there was a little bit of seepage, but not much. And so this is where I'm hoping this clear plastic can just flex enough that this will just pop off and obviously won't snap or break off. But as you'll soon see, it does sort of work a treat. It was just a case of gently easing this off, because obviously this is glued in with a hot glue gun, so it's not like a permanent glue, which is good. And yeah, it just sort of prizes away quite nicely, in fact, in the end. Then it was just a case of gluing the other half on, and yeah, making up some more clear resin, well, green resin, and pouring that in. Yeah, nice and simple, nice and quick and easy. And again, obviously once that's in, leave it for another 12 hours to fully cure. And fingers crossed, it's all worked out well. So I'm pretty new to sort of messing about with the resin. I have made a few mistakes in the past, as in I put too much colouring into one once, which is why I say now I just put a little bit of colouring in, and then if you need to, you can obviously add more colour afterwards. But obviously you can't take colour away. But yeah, I've got a few more ideas of what I want to do with some liquid resin. I say I have just bought well, 6 kilograms worth, which is quite a lot. So yeah, looking forward to making more and more pieces with the epoxy resin. And there you go. So another 12 hours. I say it's taken a good sort of day or two now to get this bit done. Lights all work up. I say if they'd been a bit more even, I think it would have looked a little bit better. But I'm still happy with the result. And to be honest, I'm just pleased that the LEDs still work after obviously having the liquid resin poured in. So there you go. It's nicely encased. Can't see the wires or anything else. So it's time to fix well, the other part of the wagon and my little Ork dude. So I'm going to have a bit of an angle, just so obviously in the pictures you'll be able to see it a lot easier, a lot nicer, and I just think that adds a little bit of character to it, and it'll look good on my desk. So yeah, it's glued in place. He's going to get glued in place, and yeah, there you go. I say I really am happy with how it has turned out, and yeah, it looks good. So the other thing I'm going to have a little go at doing is this obviously resin in this little pot, which you squeeze out, and then you use a UV light to obviously harden it. Again, never used this before. Just fancied having a go at putting a few little effects on here. Obviously like ripple sort of marks. Again, just to try something new and to see how this works, because I want to use this in the future. Again, to make sort of obviously like sort of obviously water effects and yeah, fountain effects. So yeah, never used this before. Nice and simple to use, and it hardens within about 10-15 seconds under the UV light, which is pretty awesome. So there you go, that's it all pretty much complete, and now to see it in its full glory. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave some comments down below, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, as I do produce a new video every week. There's a couple more videos on the screen. Why don't you give one of those a click and go and see more of what I do. Also, I have got another channel where I am getting out and about, seeing the sights of the UK, as well as losing weight. Okay guys, that's it. Bye for now.